Aaron, welcome to the Razor's Edge.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so 18 months of lockdown now, and Paradise Lost are back on the road. We caught you at Bloodstock a few months ago. Next up's Damnation. What's it like being back out playing again?
You know what? Even though it's the odd show, I mean, Bloodstock. I nearly exploded with excitement. I was enjoying myself so much on stage that day. So good to get back out playing. It's my favourite part about being in a band, playing live and sharing music with people, enjoying it as you do as well. And it just really accented how much I've missed doing that, really. So I'm really looking forward to Damnation. Damnation's another cool festival that's run by actually really nice people that love the music. It's born out of the love of music, very much like Bloodstock is. And I can't wait to play, to be honest. I'm looking forward to it.
Brilliant. So we'll talk about Damnation again in a minute. But first off, you kept yourself busy over lockdown as a band. You released Obsidian back right at the start of lockdown, wasn't it? Then Draconian Times 25th anniversary edition. Then there was the digital live album from Roadburn. Then you did the live stream at the Mill. And now you've released a live album off the back of that, and next up you've got a box set coming out as well. So this 18-month period, you've been very busy, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean we've got a lot of back catalogue as well. That's the other thing. But yeah, no, it's something to help bands when, especially since the millennium. I mean, playing live has been the larger part of your income, whereas previous to the millennium, bands made most of their money from the albums. But after everything went a bit tits up for the recording industry around the millennium and onwards, and it's still recovering from that. But it's much better now than it was, say, 15 years ago. Bands that when you lose live income, it's a big hole to fill.
Yeah.
So we've been quite lucky that with the streaming show, I mean, that was something we put together because the tour kept getting moved. I mean, with the album, luckily we'd just had the album had already been pressed before the lockdown kicked in and all the vinyl places shut down, etc. Because we were like, are we going to delay it? And it was like, well, no, it's a 6-week lockdown. We'll be doing festivals in the summer, and the albums are already printed, so let's release it. Whereas at the moment now we're scheduled to do shows in the spring for Obsidian. 2 years after its release. Including the launch shows. But yeah, no. But I mean, everyone's in the same boat. But I mean, as much as anything, the streaming show that we did last year, it was just so nice to see the crew, see the band, and play. I mean, it's not the same as doing a show. It's nice playing together because I mean we're all so used to doing that and love doing that. But it sort of really punctuated the fact that how important an audience is to the enjoyment of that experience, really. And Bloodstock was like just so amazing to do. It really was such a joy to play and share music that you love doing with others. Really cool.
Absolutely. So all of those releases over lockdown, I guess, and you hinted at the change in the music industry around the millennium. So was that purely to fill that loss of income from?
No, it was as much as anything. It was that show, the streaming show, was more to be doing something and to share something with fans, because it was a thing that it was as much. I mean, for our sort of mental health as much as anything, just to be able to do something, to feel like you had something to do. Then you think that people are sat at home and this is the way you can share it with it, and hopefully for the hour and a half or whatever, you can forget. You can be in a nice little metal bubble and forget everything around. And it was as beneficial for us in that way as it hopefully was for people seeing it. It felt really good to do, because I mean, especially last year when the whole lockdown thing was new for so many of us. I think a lot of people sort of And I mean, I know I did. I sort of went into a bit of a bubble, and all you saw was bad news. This and and it was a nice distraction from everything around. I think for us as hopefully as it was for others.
Yeah. So in a couple of weeks' time, then you've got a new box set coming out, which is called the Lost and the Painless, which is a collection of studio recordings, demo, live recordings from your early years. So, what was the motivation to put all that together for you?
It's the anniversary of I mean, I still can't believe it's 30 years since Gothic came out. And it was a relatively short touring period. I think we only toured for up to 6 months or something, and it wasn't touring all the time because we were still building at that point, and it was just such a short period. It's kind of nice to celebrate it, and 30 years seems quite a poignant time to do it, really.
Yeah.
At the Damnation Festival, we're also doing the Gothic album. They've asked us to do that, so we're more than happy to do that. Playing Falling Forever again.
Brilliant.
Always a joy.
So when it came to curating the box set, how did you choose what went in it and what maybe was left out?
Do you know what? There wasn't a lot to choose from, because, like I say, there was so, compared to sort of like Shades of God onwards, the next year, where the touring was there was so much more of it. There aren't a lot of things. I mean, they were asking me to go through my memorabilia and find stuff, and so little, really, because it was such a short period of time.
Yeah.
And so few shows. And then there's also what you can get permission to use as well, because sometimes people own things and things like that. It was quite nice that we found all the items that we did, really, after all this time, especially with like old Betamax tapes or whatever getting lost and things like that, or you're not being able to convert the format even sometimes.
Yeah.
But so it was quite nice that we managed to find as much as we did, really. And actually, thinking about it, the Damnation Festival isn't a million miles away from where we recorded Gothic, so it's quite nice. We did it in Dewsbury, which is not far away at all.
Absolutely, yeah. So looking back at the summer, then you played Bloodstock and you played Draconian Times in full to celebrate the 25th anniversary. You said how much you enjoyed it, and it was a stunning performance from where I was sat as well. So,
cool, thank you.
So, how do you think it went down with the fans, that full album performance?
Do you know what? I don't know whether it's just because people were desperate for a gig, or whether they enjoyed it. But I mean, we felt the reaction was fantastic on the day. I got a lot of very positive comments about the sound, which Les, our sound engineer, is a complete star. He used to be in Anathema and Cradle of Filth, and he's a complete legend. So it was great that that it sounded good out front, because festivals can be a bit hit and miss. When you sort of it's like a juggling session for the first song or two to get the sound when you haven't had a sound check or anything.
Yeah.
But the reaction was really good. I mean, there's quite a lot of songs that we've played on and off over the years. There's only about 4 or 5 songs we don't play regular off that album that we interchange around. So if there's for PL fans, they've probably heard half the album on and off frequently over the years. Yeah. It's nice to play the other songs like Jaded, etc. The song Shades of God, I always keep trying to get that in the set, but I always get downvoted. But there we go. but it gets in occasionally. The thing is, we've got it's like I've got over 150 songs or so, nearly 200 songs to choose from. It's hard to pick a set sometimes.
Absolutely.
There's loads I'd love to fit in, but hopefully, I think it seemed to go down really well with the Bloodstock fans, and it's nice. It's nice to do the album shows on occasion. I mean, for years we really resisted it for a number of reasons. As much as anything, we didn't. When the first time I think Drac Times was the first one we did the full album show of, and when we did it, we wanted to make sure that we've been getting asked for about 10 years to do Draconian Times in its entirety, but we wanted to make sure we'd at least made an album that was heavier than Draconian Times, so it didn't seem like we were just trying to pull back to heavy roots or something.
Yeah.
But when we were like, well, let's rehearse it before we say yes and see how we feel about playing it, because the one thing with Paradise lost over the years is we've always done things because we're happy about it or because we enjoy it. And we played them together and we was like, well, you know, these songs are great, let's do it. And then we said yes. But yeah, it's good fun to do them. You know, there's a couple more albums I'd like to do eventually, but you never know. It depends. We seem to have an anniversary every year at the moment with 16 albums out and, you know, 33 and a half years going. It's, there's always, well, I mean, we're celebrating every day that we're so lucky that we can be doing this all these years later.
Absolutely.
And enjoying it, most importantly.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's good fun to do, to bring them out. You know, I'd love to do 1 second at one point. Actually, there's some cracking songs on there that we don't get to play live, like Disappear. I'd love to play that again. Personal favourites, you know, because I mean, we write the music because we enjoy it, you know, and it's nice to revisit how you felt when those songs were getting put together and recorded and stuff. So yeah, This Cold Life, another one I'd love to play live again.
So you talked about how big your back catalogue is and picking set lists away from an album playback. So obviously Metallica, if you look at Metallica, they rotate their set every night and they're always pulling in rarities that they rarely play. Is that something you look to do?
It would be nice. I don't know, because it's like we'd have to get everyone together to rehearse them, and I think because people like to sort of make sure we're on it, and then obviously it means flying Waltery over to check stuff out. But Waltery, it'd be phenomenal at anything. Such a good drummer, very professional, very, very technically gifted player. So he'd be fine with any of it. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I don't know. It's more a fact as you get older, remembering them all. You know, but it would be cool. It would be cool to. I mean, since Walter's been in the band, actually, we've started slotting in other ones because he keeps saying, "Oh, can we do this one? Can we do that one?" And we're like, "All right, then go on then." Yeah. And so it's sometimes we'll get like an obscure one we put back in because Walter is asked for it. Really, bless him. He's such a good lad. But yeah, and it makes it more interesting for us as well. Every now and then, if we throw a new one in, a new old, if you know what I mean, that we haven't played for a bit. It's fun to do because you don't want to just play. I mean, there are a certain amount of songs or certain songs that people always want to hear. You know, there's like when I go see a band, you know, my favorite band. If I go see Killing Joke or something like that, there are songs that I want to hear, and if they don't play them, I'm happy that I've heard other songs, but you kind of good. So there's things you always keep in the set.
Yeah.
And then you sort of rotate them around a little bit, but yeah, so it's good to bring them out. And thankfully Walter he's good for nagging for some classics sometimes. That's good.
Brilliant.
Bless him.
Yeah. So we're just a couple of weeks away from Damnation Festival, and you mentioned it before. You're playing Gothic in full for the 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
So you said earlier that the festival approached you to do that. So was that Gavin?
Yeah, I believe it was Damnation's idea. I don't know whether it was like an option that was just given by the management because the anniversary was up as well. But yeah, they asked for it because it's an album that lends itself towards that festival's overall vibe, and I think it'd be cool to do, you know. And obviously we've done it in the States, and we've done it at Roadburn. It'd be quite nice to do it close to where it was actually recorded, really, you know, within 20 miles of where it was actually recorded, you know. So that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm guessing roughly 20 miles, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, so it's your third time at Damnation, and obviously you're all Yorkshire lads. You recorded Gothic just down the road, so it's your home festival effectively too. What does Damnation mean to you? You've played it so many times now.
Do you know what? As I touched on before, really, the people who run Damnation are really good people. The passion for it. I mean, the last time I was at Damnation, one of the people sort of running was, "Go see this band. You got to go see this band." Going for it, you know. Even though we were on about it, they were like, going for it, and it was. I like that because you know it's fans enjoying what they do. The love of what they do is. Their reward is seeing it not happen. It's you know it's not about cash. It's about the coming together of like-minded people to enjoy music, and I love that. So for me, Damnation is one of those. I think of it in the same way I think of like Wacken and Bloodstock. People who it's a real community, and they feel like they're part of the community with the fans, not just like somebody who puts it on. Not that there's anything wrong with any of the other festivals, don't get me wrong, but I kind of like that almost family vibe that these sort of festivals have between the people who put them together and the community that go and enjoy it.
Brilliant. Yeah, I go every year, and I absolutely love it. So, do you have any special memories from the festival, the appearances you've made over the years?
Besides running around see bands, it's just it's just a vibe, and like you said, you mentioned there as well. It's kind of like a home gig. So some friends that I don't get to see as well, because I've been living in London for like just over 20 years. So it's a good chance for me to hook up with friends I haven't seen for a bit, have a beer and enjoy some music, as a pun to myself, which is great. That's probably it, really. I mean, I remember that Carrie was dragging me around to see bands a couple of years ago. That was good fun, and it was like, all right, I didn't have time to stop. It was just like, all right, quick, this next band's coming on now. And I was getting dragged to the next one, and that sort of joy they get from it, it's infectious, and I love that. So that's probably the most endearing thing for me about Damnation is it's meeting up with friends and the people there being really cool, actually.
Right. So switching away from Paradise Lost for a minute, I shared the minibus with you out on the way out of Bloodstock back in the summer, and we were talking about some younger bands that were playing the festival.
I knew your face from somewhere. I was trying to really picture where I knew it from. Right, okay.
So pandemic aside, how healthy do you think that the music scene, the heavy music scene, is in the UK right now with all these young bands coming through?
You know what? It's something that I almost feel like slightly out of touch with. I've got to be honest. But when it's like I was just thinking about that. When I was talking with you guys in the band, you was like, and we got out at the car park and stuff, and it was like, all right, but make sure you check these guys out, and I remember that night I did look, and it was just like, these bands are really cool. I don't always get a chance to see them all because. Especially at Bloodstock this year, it just seemed like I was constantly bumping into people I knew backstage.
Yeah.
Which was great because after a year plus of being sort of all of us being cooped up, it was great. Hugging friends, that was like the most amazing thing. It's just like you haven't been able to go near anybody for over a year. So just little things like that. It was amazing. But I think I don't know how. Newer bands have, especially if it's their main job, say if they're just concentrating on music, they haven't got like other work and stuff like that. It must be really difficult during this period. But you find a lot of younger bands find ways to supplement that. They do a lot more things with social media and YouTube and streaming, etc. And they find their ways through that. But I'm just really pleased that Bill Drum's cool, and it's really, really cool. And I'm hoping actually when I go to Damnation, I'll get to check out some new bands. So actually, you can let me know if there's any I should definitely try and look at as well.
Yeah, well, yeah. For Damnation, I think my recommendation, if you've not seen them, is Video Nasties.
Video Nasties, cool.
Yeah, they're a Scouse band. They mix a bit of thrash, bit of doom, but mainly the theme is on horror movies. So it's
right.
It's a combination of the three, and yeah, they're fantastic bands that I recommend you check out.
All right, cool. Where are they from?
They're all Liverpool based, I think. Various smaller bands in Liverpool, and over the years they've merged into Video Nasties. Yeah,
you know what? Funny enough, I was talking to somebody the other day. It's when we first started, we played Liverpool as much as Yorkshire, really. Liverpool was a place that we played all the time between Planet X. I think it was a power station. It was called. Obviously, we played the Royal Court later on as well. But in the early days, we always seemed to be playing like Liverpool Poly or Planet X and all these places. And that's where we first met like Napalm Death when Lee was still in the band, and you know, it was such a great place to play. I mean, it's such a hotbed for music anyway. So I'm really pleased that there's a lot of cool bands still coming out of Liverpool, because for us in our early days, it was a big part of Paradise Lost, sort of learning about playing live and meeting new bands. It was very central to that. So, you know, and some of the cool venues and, you know, some of the old promoters, and Peck, rest his soul, were so good to us, and we had such a good time with Liverpool over there. So, right, I'll definitely check them out. Although the first thing that comes to my head when I think of Video Nasty is the Young Ones, because they had an episode called that. But, but yeah, I'll check that out then. Cool, thank you.
No problem at all. So, Aaron, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. And I will,
and you.
And I'll hopefully catch up with you in a couple of weeks in Leeds.
Yeah, I hope so. Trying to think. Yeah, hopefully I won't be driving, so I'll have a beer. Give me a wave. Give me a wave either way, and we'll hook up anyway. Be good to see you.
Yeah, be good to catch up. So, cheers for your time today, Aaron.
My pleasure. Enjoy Damnation. I'm going to do.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you keep up to date with future episodes by subscribing to our channels. For more information on this podcast, or for all the latest music news, reviews, interviews and more, head over to our website, www.therazorsedge.rocks.